Hello all my Kenvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Doctor Who. The beginning of the 11th? Yeah, it's the 13th Doctor's first episode and the 11th series. I gotta get used to saying series again and not season, because people get mad at me when I say season and not series when it comes to this show. But regardless, I am ready to get into this. It is The Woman Who Fell to Earth. And considering how the last episode of Doctor Who ended with her falling out of the TARDIS that was blowing up again, I'm just really looking forward to finding out how this goes. I am watching this the day after it premiered, since Amazon has like a day delay, and I don't know, as far as like reacting to the show live or as it premieres, that's something I'll have to figure out and see if it's possible. But regardless, this is my premiere for it, and let's begin The Woman Who Fell to Earth. And go. Is Ryan gonna die? Don't touch it! Or do? Oh, it's adorable.
Can't keep his hands off me, love. Behave yourself.
I love her. Oh no. Doctor! Question, how did they pick it up and put it in the van since it's painfully cold?
Take out witnesses. Very clever. Merciless, but clever. Very formatted your phone.
No, all my stuff's on there.
Not anymore. Could have known that was going to happen.
Maybe tell Kenn that.
He knows, really.
Couldn't have known, but you don't just touch glowing gold things that are floating in the air and look like a target.
Do you believe she's an alien?
Oh. Huh.
Ta-da! She'll be fine.
Okay, yeah, the tooth thing is really weird. I'm gonna call you the Tooth Fairy. And then you just step on the salad for reasons.
Hi. Why the teeth? Bad enough you kill. Why take a tooth from the victim?
Fair?
Stenza warrior wears his conquests. Was privileged to encounter Tzim-Sha of the Stenza.
Shaw?
Tzim-Sha!
Tzim-Sha?
Tzim-Sha.
What do you do when we get up there? Don't worry, I've got a plan. Really? Well, we'll have by the time we get to the top.
Oh my god, she is channeling Tennant so much.
Are you alright? Well, Catcher?
I don't know. I'm not great with heights.
Then why do you work at Crane?
It's my dad's company.
Oh.
Is it wrong to be enjoying this? Yes.
I love her so much. Please don't die. For the love of God, please don't die.
Because we're all capable of the most incredible change. We can evolve while still staying true to who we are. We can honour who we've been and choose who we want to be next. Now's your chance. How about it? You did this to yourself. Go home.
That was awesome. Oh, I'm so pissed right now. No, 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 no.
Now that's what I want.
Yay!
That's what I'm going with. Yeah. Got any cash? Empty pockets.
Oh, that's not good. Well, that's definitely not good. That's where you leave it. Ooh. That's nice. I like that. So, the woman who fell to Earth. I have a lot of thoughts. I apologize if at the end there I got really quiet for a while. I mean, that'll really have a lot to do with some of the things I'm going to talk about. But let me just say, to start out with just some of my favorite parts, I'm not gonna lie, Jodie Whittaker is phenomenal as the Doctor. And they had her, I mean, she wasn't even fully recognizing herself as the Doctor, just someone who helps. I'm really excited to see what happens in the next episode, to see, you know, more of Jodie in full Doctor mode. But yeah, she sold me here. She sold me. It's like, I was looking forward to it. I was interested to see how they were going to write her, how she was going to act, and I think she did a spot-on job. Some might critique that maybe she's emulating the other Doctors a little bit too much. In my opinion, if it's any of them, would be Tennant. But I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think she was, like, all of her mannerisms, everything about her just screamed the Doctor, including the Doctor with amnesia. So yeah, just overall, Jodie, excellent job here. You are definitely, you have sold yourself as the Doctor without a doubt. Some of my other favorite parts, the ensemble of characters. I mean, this has been kind of public knowledge overall for a while now, but the fact that it's not just one companion, there's actually a group of people, I don't know how long they'll all be there, but seemingly a group of people traveling with the Doctor, it honestly does remind me of some of the elements of the first Doctor. I've only started the classic era of Doctor Who with William Hartnell, but back then it was the Doctor and his granddaughter Susan, and then two other people. So it's the Doctor and three companions. Again, back then they were still working on the formula, admittedly, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do this, how they balance out all these different personalities, these different people, and how they bring us to really get to know them. We were given sort of the lowdown on all of them, the past that all of them have together. So I'm interested to see how that evolves and how the characters themselves will evolve as this series goes on. And also how the Doctor is going to be with them, because, you know, the last Doctor, he'd be quite cross a lot. And I'm interested to see how they write Jodie's Doctor here. Any other... Grace, and I'm going to be revisiting this and my annoyances with the episode, but Grace was an amazing part of this episode. I absolutely loved her. Everything about her, she was super fun. She was... If they were going to go with just one person as a companion, I would have wanted it to be her. Her and the Doctor just going back and forth with each other would be phenomenal. Or even if she was in the ensemble there, in the group, that would just be awesome and so much fun. And I guess the Doctor is kind of going to fill the gap that she leaves. I don't know. I don't feel like that's fair to say, but I think that's kind of what they were going for in the writing. But yeah, Grace was just an amazing character, a spitfire. I absolutely loved her. Not gonna get into the negatives yet. Another thing, the music. The music in this episode. I know that they have a new composer for the show. I really liked the end theme there, what they did there with like combining the old Doctor Who theme with this new style. The music of the show overall was just phenomenal. Admittedly, nothing in particular sticks out to me, but everything just felt right. It's like one of the other discovering series I'm doing is Discovering Steven Universe, and a lot of times, like, there are songs on that show that like really stick out, but then other times it's like it's hard for me to point out like any particular track, but just because the music that plays, it complements everything so well. And I honestly feel like this was some of the best music that we've had in a Doctor Who show. Again, admittedly, oh god, I can't remember his name, but the previous composer did an amazing job. But this, again, everything just felt right here. Everything about the music was just perfect, in my opinion. But okay, well, I talked about the ensemble, but I like Yaz. I think that she's going to be a fun character. Interested to see how possibly the adventures with the Doctor will affect her becoming a policewoman. Can't think of the right word. Anyway, how that's going to affect it, and whether or not her being gone is going to cost her job. Graham, or is it Graham? I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with him, because I was, again, not to linger too much on the negatives yet, but I was feeling a certain way. But then when it referred to him, when he said that, you know, he should be the one that's gone, not her, it's like it kicked me out of that stubborn mood I was in, and it hit me with this shock of emotion. Like I actually did start to tear up. So I wonder what's going to happen with him through the course of this series. Will he come to find a better appreciation for himself? Will he come to find himself one that's worthy of living? Because the way he was talking, again, he said, you know, it should be me that's gone, not her. And hopefully with these adventures, he'll come to appreciate himself and see in himself what Grace saw. And then there's Ryan, and I'm not sure what to think of Ryan just yet. He's a fine character. I feel like he's the least defined, strangely, even though we technically saw more of him than any of the other companions. Hey Kenvians, not sure where I'm going to put this in the video, but I do just want to say this. For anyone offended by what I had to say about the character Ryan, I honestly do apologize. When I was talking about him in my review portion of this video, I came at his condition, dyspraxia, from a position of ignorance. I'm still very much ignorant to the condition, but I have learned about it and what it truly is since recording this. And while I was editing it, I decided I want to go ahead and let you all know that I recognize I screwed up in what I was saying. I mean, I came at it from the position I was in at the time, which was, again, from ignorance. I thought that when they referred to dyspraxia, it was just a condition that makes it so that he has bad balance. I didn't realize that dyspraxia is actually, like, it can be quite severe. The way they portrayed it in this episode, with him not being able to ride the bicycle, I thought it was kind of silly at the time, and I still feel like they perhaps could have portrayed it a little bit better, just from my perspective. But I completely get it now. I understand where the character's coming from. I understand why that's a struggle for him, and I understand that I was very wrong in saying that's like, I thought it was a tragedy that affected him, when this is something that has, from the character's perspective, this is something that has affected that character probably their entire life. So again, I just want to apologize, and I'll end this here, and we'll get back to the rest of the video. Thank you, everyone. In this episode, he feels like the least defined, and almost like some of his story felt misleading, kinda. It felt like he's not able to ride a bike. I thought that maybe there was some sort of tragedy that happened in the past, something that, really affected him. But then, and not to belittle, the condition he has, because I'm sure it's a real thing, but I don't know, it just felt so awkward to go from this potentially, like the way he talked about it, this horrible thing that might have happened to him, to, oh, it's a condition he's always had, that he can't have, I can't remember the exact definition, but basically, like, he can't really keep equilibrium. He has trouble keeping balance. I don't know. It left me wishing that there was more to it. I guess we're heading into the negatives now, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and get into that. My annoyances with this, and yeah, the backstory with Ryan. Well, to repeat what I said already, he feels the least defined of any of the characters. He was just kind of there. He works in a warehouse. He has a YouTube page. It was his grandmother that died. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that as a character they flesh him out more as this series goes along, because yeah, he didn't seem to have any significant moments. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like the riding the bike thing, I wanted it to feel significant. I wanted it to feel impactful, that he was just trying so hard, still failing, but trying so hard. But something just felt empty about it, and I think it's because of, again, just not having a strong attachment to him as a character yet. It's like we got the impact of what Yaz is going through. Grace and Graham, they were a fun little couple together on their own. But I don't know, something about Ryan just felt not fully there. And so again, I'm hoping that he gets developed more as this series goes along. But unfortunately, to a degree, him and his backstory is one of my annoyances with this episode. Another favorite thing, God, I can't remember the name of the race, but the bad guy, the alien. It was pretty cool. It was a play on the Predator theme, where it's like, they take trophies and everything. Admittedly, a bit disgusting with the teeth in the face. But I'm interested to see if we're gonna see more of them through this series. Like, maybe he comes back and as he's been kicked out of his society, so he takes revenge or something like that. I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see if they go that direction. But back to the negatives, the annoyances, and the biggest one of all should be obvious, but the fact that they killed Grace. And here's the thing. I mean, I was worried at several moments that they were going to kill Grace. It's like that kind of trope. It's something that happens a lot in TV shows. It happens in movies. So, I mean, the reason I was worried is because I was expecting it. But I feel like the way it happened was so cheap. Maybe not even cheap, but so unnecessary. It's like, the bad guy was done. It's like this technology that was helping him out. At that point, it wasn't, like, it had knocked out the power on that one crane, and seemingly, unless I missed something, it wasn't trying to climb up to attack anyone. It wasn't trying to climb down to attack Grace or Graham. It was just there. So, the fact that, and again, Grace and Graham, they probably didn't know what all was going on because it was so high up, but she didn't... I guess it just doesn't make sense to me that she would go up there to attack this thing by herself, this alien life form. Yeah, she was excited to do it, and she was like, she was all hyped up, and she was wanting to help, and she did. But see, I think I'm trying to explain the character motives, but my biggest issue here is the writing in that instance. I feel like the writing in this episode overall was good, and it was solid, and it was an excellent introduction to the new Doctor. But the fact that they killed Grace in a way that didn't even need to happen. Like, I think my biggest issue is they didn't even write it or animate it so that it looked like the thing was coming after them or that it was a threat anymore. They just wrote it as she did this and she was too close and died. And honestly, again, because she was one of my favorite parts of this episode. So the fact that they just decided to up and kill her off like that, it really, really bothers me. And again, I part of me saw it coming because of how excellent of a character she was. Like, it seems that way in a lot of shows, so yeah. This was a good episode overall, but just the way that they handled Grace in the end was disappointing, to say the least. Just, yeah. And the emotional impact, like with the funeral and everything, I feel like had they kept Grace on the show a bit longer, even just one more episode or two, time to really let it sink in how, how these characters are growing closer to each other, give Ryan time to, maybe start to accept Graham more, something like that, still having Grace around, and being able to see these improvements in her family getting stronger. If they were to then take her away in a fashion like this, it would have been more impactful. It would have been heart-wrenching. But in this case, it just pissed me off. It made me mad. And that's why I went silent for so long. And at least in the edited version of this, why a huge chunk was left out, because I just didn't say anything because I was staring at the screen angrily while still trying to take in what was going on. So yeah, it sucks, again, because like I already said, the episode as a whole was good, and it was strong, and it was powerful, and it was a great introduction. But that element of it, the way they handled that character, just really pisses me off. And I don't know, maybe that was their intention, because we've had a lot of episodes for a while now with Moffat at the helm where people, there weren't really that many heavy body counts in the show for a long time. Or if there was a heavy body count, they were kind of brought back to life in a sense. but not in like, the introduction here, the introduction to a new series. And this episode didn't have a huge body count, but they were definitely racking up still. And I guess maybe even my annoyance with how they killed off Grace has to do with how they killed off that grandpa. The security guard there, he was having a call with, I think it was his granddaughter, doing FaceTime or whatever, and then all of a sudden he's dead. And it felt cheap. In a similar way to how I felt that Grace's death was cheap, because had it just been, okay, it's an older guy, he's a security guard, and he dies, or he gets killed. I mean, yeah, that sucks. But he's having this conversation with someone we can't hear. And so his death, it's it gives you that it gives you that gross feeling of it's establishing there's he had a family and he's dead now. But it was unnecessary because we have no connection to that family. I don't know, maybe they have plans for later in the series to do a callback to that, and maybe, I don't know, the family of him will become part of the story. I don't know. But his death and the way they handled that felt so cheap. And just to say it one last time, they could have handled Grace and her death so much better. Yeah. So it's weird because I feel authentically torn right now. Because I've said over and over my feelings toward, this episode and how I feel the writing went. And how it's overall good, but just certain elements of it really, really hurt it in my eyes and really bother me in that regard. I don't know, maybe it'll be something that I'll have to revisit after this series is over and see. Who knows, maybe things will be revealed down the line through this series that will improve this episode in my eyes. But as a whole, I never give the episodes numbers as far as ratings go. And I'm not going to anyway. It has issues. It got a lot of emotion out of me, and maybe that was the point in the end. It was supposed to be a kick in the nuts or a punch in the gut, whatever you prefer. And just in the end, it is what it is, and it's a grand opening for what will hopefully be a grand series. Sorry. But alright everyone, thank you so much for being here with me through all of my rambling. If you're watching the full version, good for you for watching the entire thing. But yeah, please do let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on what I had to say. I'm really interested to see if maybe you got a different feeling from it than I did. I'm sure that there's still some people out there that, don't care for Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, despite her, in my eyes, really proving herself in the role. I think the one thing that we'll probably be able to agree with is the writing to a degree. And again, for me, it's mostly positive with certain important elements really falling by the wayside. But yeah, alright, I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say, and thank you so much for being here for this episode of Discovering Doctor Who. I'm actually doing this, close to when the episode actually comes out instead of waiting 2 months afterward and going through them in a marathon. So yes, I'm looking forward to watching the next episode. Just so you know, again, I'm not able to watch these until the day after they actually premiere, because Amazon, unless I'm able to find another way to record, and if I do, then I'll get that sorted out. Regardless, I'm going to shut up now. Everyone, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode of Discovering Doctor Who.